I found a trail cam on my land. I was out walking my dog when I stumbled upon a trail camera attached to a tree on my property. At first, I was confused and a bit concerned about who could have put it there. It turned out that my neighbor had installed it a few months ago, supposedly to monitor deer activity, but I had no idea it was still there. This discovery caught me off guard and sparked a lot of questions about why it was still up and who had given them permission to leave it. The original agreement between my family and our neighbor came about a few years ago when they asked if they could hunt on our land during deer season. We agreed, as long as they followed all the necessary regulations and respected our property. Over time, they installed a few stands and trails, which was fine by us. However, when the trail camera appeared, it was supposedly to help them pattern the deer and make their hunting more efficient. My family didn't think much of it at the time, assuming it was just a tool for their hunting. The neighbor had mentioned it to us, and we hadn't explicitly said no, so they likely assumed it was okay. But as time passed, and the camera remained, it started to feel like an overstep, especially since we'd never really discussed the specifics of what they could and couldn't do on our land. This lack of clear communication would later become a point of contention, but at the time, it seemed like a minor issue. I decided to remove the trail camera, feeling that my privacy and property rights were being disrespected. I understood that this action could lead to tension with my neighbor, but I believed it was necessary to assert my boundaries. After removing the camera, I waited to see how my neighbor would react. It didn't take long, as they showed up at my doorstep, visibly upset and claiming that the camera was essential for their hunting activities. They argued that the original agreement allowed for the installation of such devices, but I countered that it was never explicitly stated and that I had never given my explicit consent. The conversation was heated, but we eventually agreed to discuss the matter further and come to a new understanding. The removal of the trail camera may have caused a temporary rift in our relationship, but it also opened up a necessary dialogue about respecting each other's property and privacy. The experience taught me that clear communication is key to avoiding misunderstandings and that setting boundaries, even with neighbors, is essential for maintaining healthy relationships. In conclusion, I removed the trail cam on my property after feeling disrespected by my neighbor's actions. Looking back, I think the main issue was a lack of clear communication and boundaries. The original agreement had been vague, and it seemed like my neighbor had taken advantage of that. Removing the camera was my way of reasserting control over my land. I'm still unsure if I was in the wrong, but I do know that I've learned a valuable lesson about setting clear boundaries and communicating effectively. If you're dealing with a similar situation, I encourage you to prioritize open and honest communication with your neighbors to avoid misunderstandings. Establishing clear boundaries and respecting each other's property is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships. By doing so, you can prevent conflicts and ensure a more harmonious living environment. Ultimately, it's essential to find a balance between being a good neighbor and protecting your own interests.